Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here tonight. We're going to be talking all about the WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view coming up. We're going to be talking about all the matches that are coming up. It looks like as of right now, there's 7 matches booked. Tonight is going to be the U.S. airing of WWE SmackDown. It aired last night in Canada and other parts of the world, and I didn't hear any spoilers leak out about any matches that are going to be added to the show. So it looks like 6 pay-per-view matches and 1 match on the pay-per-view pre-show, the WWE kickoff party. The last 2 pay-per-views, they've added special matches to the kickoff, but nothing to really, write home about. I think it was Zack Ryder against Stardust on the last one, and Stardust versus somebody else on the other one. But honestly, WWE Money in the Bank, I wish I could lie to you and tell you that I was more fired up about this show more than anything else. Honestly, when it comes down to it, the Money in the Bank ladder match itself is always a real fun deal. Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose for the championship in the main event. Even though it is a ladder match, it doesn't have the biggest appeal to me. It sort of feels like a Monday Night Raw main event. Kevin Owens versus John Cena is going to be a damn good match, but it's not going to be as good as its first match. When we talk about that match, I'll go more in depth into it. But as of right now, WWE Burnout might be the easiest way to put it. But to me, honestly, 6 pay-per-views in a matter of weeks, and it's just crazy. I mean, we had Payback, then we had, what was that last show they gave us? Elimination Chamber and Money in the Bank, all on 6 weeks build. Is kind of beyond crazy, and I think before that was I think 2 weeks before that was another pay-per-view, and then days after that pay-per-view, they had the King of the Ring special, which ended up only being a 1-hour special. But to me, honestly, I think it's great value for the WWE Network, but I think when you're running 3 pay-per-views in 6 weeks, you're not really giving yourself enough build, and it sort of makes the matches that are going not very special. For one, you had an injury in the tag team division, with Tyson Kidd going down. So Kidd and Cesaro, one of the most valuable teams in the division, are out. But a New Day is going to be defending their tag belts, going up against the primetime players. Nothing really against them, but they haven't really been built up as a team to take the reins as a number 1 contender. R-Truth versus Wade Barrett in the kickoff. I don't even think there's even a feud there. Nikki Bella versus Paige. There's some steam going in the Divas division, but there's nobody really even talking about it. Ryback versus Big Show is almost sort of like they took a name out of a hat in order to make the Intercontinental Championship. Number 1 contender. Big Show is the guy that's held the Intercontinental title in the past, but I don't really know why he would want to have it now. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Owens versus Cena is going to be fun, but it seems like they're doing the rematch just way too fast. So, this is going to be a show. It's going to be Sunday, the WWE Network. I'm going to try my best. We're going to talk about all the matches. We're going to pick some winners, and we're going to see where we go from here. As we go into the big WWE Battleground. I don't know how long there is build between Money in the Bank and Battleground, but I can honestly say that I hope it's more than 2 weeks. I know that Brock Lesnar is going to be returning. WWE is going to be picking up for the summer. Money in the Bank is normally when it gets really exciting again because you have your Money in the Bank briefcase. Last year was a little bit weird with Seth Rollins not being around because, Seth Rollins was around having the Money in the Bank briefcase, but Brock wasn't on every show. So it sort of made the value of having a Money in the Bank briefcase sort of go out the window because he's showing up to house shows, SmackDowns, Monday Night Raws with this briefcase, but he doesn't have anybody to use it on. So what's the point? You almost should have made the Money in the Bank briefcase like a championship where it was contended on shows, so that way it would be like you had a title for people to fight over. So this is going to be us talking about Money in the Bank, and we'll see what goes on. All right, first match of the night is going to be the Money in the Bank kickoff pre-show match, which is going to be R-Truth going up against King Wade Barrett. The match is presented by Mountain Dew Kickstart, and I think everybody knows that you tune in an hour before the show. You're going to hear commentary from all of the WWE guys talking about all the matches, seeing some of the, I guess you can say, little compilations of all the matches, hyping you up for the match that you already know that's going to be going down. But for some reason, they've picked these two guys out of the hat, and I went to WWE.com to see if they were even able to put a story together about why these guys are fighting. And once you read the story, you're actually sort of brainwashed thinking that this match honestly really does mean something. Now, King Barrett, when he won the kingship, I guess you can say, when he got to start wearing the crown and holding the scepter and wearing the cape on his way down to the ring, I really thought it was going to mean something. If you look back in a history of wrestling, when you think about King Harley Race or King Haku, even the Macho King Randy Savage, that when I was a kid growing up, that actually sort of meant something. It actually, in my mind, was treated like it was a championship. I never really saw those guys lose matches to where I wouldn't think they were the king of wrestling anymore. And even though, I wouldn't know what Harley Race really meant to wrestling until I was older and actually got to know that he was one of the biggest stars of the NWA, and him being in the WWF actually really meant something. I really thought of him being a great wrestler because he was the king. And that's what it meant. Now, Wade Barrett won the King of the Ring, got to start being the king gimmick, and it actually really does fit him. I think he's really molded himself into that, and I think it's only been getting better and better as the weeks go by. You go back and you think about, what it did for Booker T's career, giving him that second wind and really making him more relevant, actually pushing himself into winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship and being the champion of SmackDown for a while. It has done the opposite for Wade Barrett. I actually want to think that it actually made him go lower on the card, but Wade Barrett is a guy that honestly in his career came in, won NXT, was the leader of Nexus, had a whole bunch of steam momentum behind him, and then all of a sudden lost it. Left Raw, went to SmackDown, started the Core, got a lot of momentum behind him, lost it. The Core broke up, he went solo, won the Intercontinental Championship, got some steam behind him, and lost it. He's kind of been this guy that in WWE has always just been having these peaks and valleys. All of a sudden, it's like Vince looks in the locker room and sees this big, intimidating guy, and it's like, why are we not pushing that guy? And all of a sudden, they start pushing him, and then he just sort of doesn't get brought up in a booking meeting, and all of a sudden he falls off the face of the earth. Now, WWE.com, they actually bring up the fact both of these competitors were both inside of the Elimination Chamber. Both of these competitors were inside of the WrestleMania 31 Intercontinental Championship match. So, they sort of got the shaft by not getting into the Money in the Bank. Both of those matches in previous pay-per-views, WrestleMania and Elimination Chamber, both of them were for the Intercontinental title. Both of them were mid-card championships. Now this year, at the Money in the Bank, of course, they're going for the briefcase. They're stacking it with more, main event talent. You've got Sheamus, borderline main eventer. Randy Orton and Roman Reigns, guaranteed main eventers. Kane is a guy that goes back and forth. And then you've got a newbie rookie and Neville. You've got Dolph Ziggler and Kofi Kingston, two real reliable hands for WWE that have never really gotten to where they're supposed to be. So, the R-Truth, who actually sort of exposed this match on Monday Night Raw, coming out to deliver a promo, thinking that he was in the Money in the Bank match, only to be told that he wasn't in it, and said "my bad" and went to the back. That should have been an indication of why these two guys are fighting. I guess both of these guys want a leg up in the mid card, seeing where they rank, if maybe they'll become the new number one contenders, even though it looks like Ryback has his hands full with Big Show, and even then, Miz sort of is in the Intercontinental Championship running, even though he's been getting his ass handed to him the last few weeks. He's made his return. We'll have to see. Honestly, if you go back in history, the last time these guys had a match, it was Wade Barrett making an easy win out of R-Truth in the semifinals of the King of the Ring. So they do have a little bit of a history with the chamber match, the ladder match, and the King of the Ring. I guess it's not the qualifying match, it was the semifinals match. But we'll see what goes down. In this match, I'm going to go with the King. I'm going to say King Wade Barrett gets the win, and hopefully he'll be able to pull it out. Alright, Divas Championship match, Nikki Bella versus Paige, going down at the WWE Money in the Bank 2015 pay-per-view. Honestly, Nikki Bella, I've said this in a bunch of videos, one of the most improved wrestlers of 2014 and 2015. Honestly, she's really deserved the Divas Championship. I thought when she first won it, I thought that it was a little bit of a step back for the Divas division. I thought that maybe it was a little bit of a John Cena influence, or maybe it was just, them putting over the Bellas, because the Bellas had been the face of Total Divas, and I don't know, her matches have not been great, but they've been damn good. I mean, like, there hasn't been that many Divas matches on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, or even on the pay-per-views that you've really just said that had no business being on TV. Now, at the Elimination Chamber, we had a three-way, Nikki Bella versus Paige with Naomi involved. I really thought that Naomi was going to get the win. I thought that it was her time to sort of take over the Divas division and really get her push to get where she was going. They seemed to have built a little bit of a storyline behind her with, her family, Tamina, coming together and really helping her out and really having that bully behind her to sort of, man her way through the Divas division. It seems that as you can say, dirt sheets have picked up a story running with it that WWE was really upset with the botched spot by Naomi blowing a hurricanrana during the match. Honestly, I really don't think that would be any reason to not be going in the direction of Naomi doing it. Naomi is a great athlete. She's a great wrestler. WWE has had faith in Naomi in the past, and I think that they will have faith with her in the future. Now, Nikki Bella has really been on top of the Divas division. I think I heard a stat that she had been Divas champion for well over 200 days. There's even a story out there thinking that WWE is keeping the Divas Championship on Nikki Bella, hoping to surpass the long reign of AJ Lee to make CM Punk mad. I think that there is no steam behind that. I think that it's complete and utter bullshit. Paige, to me, honestly, is the John Cena or the Hulk Hogan of the Divas division. She seems to be one of the most popular divas. As of right now, she's probably one of the best workers that they have in the Divas division. And even at her young age, I think that they're really trying to shape the Divas division around her. Nikki Bella and Brie Bella on Monday Night Raw on the Divas Championship match, pulling out their old tricks, going through twin magic, is something that I would normally like if it wasn't the Divas Championship match. It seems to me that the Divas division with Nikki Bella at the helm has run out of ideas. Nikki and Brie, even a few years ago before their split from WWE and Nikki getting the implants, never really looked like the best twins that were out there. And now Brie didn't go with the upgrade like Nikki did. Very easy to pick out which one is which. Now, I know when Brie got into the ring, she kept her face down. She was wearing the Nikki Bella attire. I just didn't make sense to me how perfectly planned out the twin magic spot would have been. It seemed to be that everyone was able to notice what was going on besides for the referee, and why the referee wouldn't have been able to see on the Tron that they were replaying that twin magic had appeared. Now, it seems to be that the Bellas are the heel of the Divas division, yet once again without having a real heel turn. Unless it's like, I guess this is pretty much how a New Day turned when they, held the legs of the Lucha Dragons in order to get the number one contenders match, where they would go on and win the Divas, go on and win the WWE Tag Team Championships. Now, in this match, it would make sense for Paige to beat Nikki, seeing how Paige is trying to get the Divas division back, and she's back on the heels. She's on the chase, I guess you can say. But honestly, I'm thinking that the the title change is going to take another month for it to happen. I'm picking Nikki to win this match. Some sort of a cheating finish. I don't think in the Divas division they really knock each other out with the title, but looking for some sort of a thing like that. Paige has said that she needs something to even the odds. I'm hoping that they're going to be pairing together Paige and Emma, both best friends that went through FCW and NXT together. They have great matches and anything to help elevate Emma. I've heard that Emma's going to be getting a championship shot on Monday Night Raw. That was a few days ago. Hoping that it happens. Maybe it'll be against Nikki or maybe it'll be against Paige. I think everyone can remember the first ever NXT special. I think that was where the Paige versus Emma match happened. That was just huge. And Emma went on to go to Monday Night Raw, be teamed up with Santino. And ever since Santino was forced into retirement with his neck injury, Emma has just really been lost. She's a really great wrestler, and I think she's really going to be getting her chance again soon. If you follow her on Instagram or follow her on Twitter, she's taken this sort of, I guess you can say, break. She's really switched up her diet. It seems like she's just a workout fanatic. It's almost like she doesn't really even have the same body that she did when she first got called up to the main roster. She's been having matches in NXT. They've been really good. So we'll see where we go from there. But at Money in the Bank, I'm going to be picking Nikki to beat Paige and seeing if maybe Paige and Emma can form a team to go up against the Bellas, and then Paige would be able to overcome Nikki, win the Divas Championship at, I guess, Payback is next. This is one of those videos that sucks to make. It's one of those videos that just all the air is sucked out of the room right now. I was recording my videos talking about the WWE Money in the Bank 2015 show that's coming up. I'm a few matches into it, and I just stream over to Twitter trying to find a thumbnail to use. And I noticed that I had a mention, and I went and checked it, and somebody said that they heard a rumor that Dusty Rhodes had died. And I said that, no way. And then I just happened to type in Dusty Rhodes to see what other mentions were going on. It's not the first death hoax that's been pulled on Twitter. But when you see Howard Finkel tweeting about the loss of Dusty Rhodes, you know that it's true. It's also been confirmed by TMZ and by WWE themselves. Dusty Rhodes was never really treated like one of the all-time greats. Dusty Rhodes was almost treated like he was the poor man's hero. I guess you can say he's never put in the same light as Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, John Cena. Yeah, you have to be older to really, I guess you can say, feel Dusty Rhodes, like to really understand his style of matches. I know that if you've been watching my videos for a while, it really rocked my world. He wasn't one of my favorites, but when the Ultimate Warrior died, he was such a part of my WrestleMania 30 trip. He was, we went to the Hall of Fame on Saturday. We saw him, take his mention at WrestleMania 30, and then he delivered a promo on Monday Night Raw the night after WrestleMania in New Orleans. You fly home the next night, and you find out that the guy's dead. It's weird. Dusty Rhodes was a big part of my childhood, and I will honestly tell you that the Dusty Rhodes that I remember more than anything is what a lot of people think is the low time of Dusty Rhodes' career, and that was the polka dot wearing WWF version of Dusty Rhodes. He got to use his own name, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't what he was in the NWA. He fell out of power with the NWA and WCW, however you like to refer to them as, and he went to Vince looking for a job. The story is mixed. There are a lot of people think that Dusty Rhodes, even though he doesn't say it, publicly, thought of him wearing the polka dots was a way of showing that he wasn't as valuable to the WWF as a lot of other guys were. But it doesn't make sense at the same time, because Dusty Rhodes was winning a lot of matches. Vince was treating him like he was a real legend. He never won the Intercontinental Championship. He never won the WWF Championship. But he was never treated like a jobber. Dusty Rhodes was on all of the Rumbles, the SummerSlams, WrestleManias, that he was a part of WWF was. Vince really used him as a star. He didn't bring him in, beat him to Hogan right away and have Hogan beat him or anything like that. I'm sure a lot of people have the American Dream Dusty Rhodes sitting on their DVD shelf. Kind of a cool idea of a box set where it actually opens up. Everybody knows that when you went to the stores and you saw these and you pressed them, it used to have Dusty Rhodes quotes. Pretty cool marketing ploy to get you to buy it, but the battery dies out really fast. And I would love it if somebody had a video of this box still talking, but I doubt there's anybody out there that still does. There's no way to change the battery. I would if I could. It would make this video a whole lot better if I could. But Dusty Rhodes, when this happened, I thought of my friend Gemini. And I'm lucky enough to be one of those people that's close enough to him to actually have his phone number. And the story was so fresh. I didn't want him to find out any other way. It was a lot like when Warrior died. I called him and told him, and he had no idea. He was driving down the road. He had to put his Bluetooth on. Classic Gemini moment of letting me talk for a minute and then saying, hold on, I can't hear you. I gotta put my Bluetooth on. But he just started spitting off Dusty Rhodes, he was pretty much like he was reading his Wikipedia page, but he was driving down the road, so there was no way in the world he could have. He knows Dusty Rhodes a whole lot more than I do. I was lucky enough to meet the guy one time. It was actually during my Hall of Fame trip to IHOP, where in the matter of an hour, I met Bret Hart, Pat Patterson, Dusty Rhodes, and I also met DDP. I didn't get a picture with him, but he sat in the booth next to us, and we didn't want to bug him. But so many people were wanting IHOP that day. Dusty Rhodes' career lasted from the late 70s all the way through, I'm going to say he didn't hang up the boots until, the 90s. He, became a part of WCW. A lot of people know him as a commentator, as part of the commentator team. He fell in and out of favor with WCW as a part of the writing committee. He came back to WCW. He was a part of those last few shows. It was, I believe, Flair and Jarrett against Dusty and Dustin Rhodes. You think of what Dusty Rhodes is leaving behind. Not only the wrestling family that he's built of Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes. You can easily think that this video is going to be mostly about Dusty, but just as of right now, Goldust accomplished so much, and so many people thought that Goldust was a slap in the face trying to make Dusty Rhodes jealous or trying to make him mad. But Goldust went on to become one of the true, I'm going to use legends lightly, but I mean one of the biggest stars of wrestling, of any era. Cody Rhodes, a damn good wrestler. I really thought that when they started doing the teaming of the Rhodes brothers together, I really thought it was going to be going somewhere, and Stardust is not where I thought it was going to be. Dusty Rhodes has been a part of FCW and NXT. You could see him as a part of that last E60 ESPN special down there, a part of so many people's lives. I know when Jericho has people on that went through FCW to NXT, he always makes them tell a Dusty story. He's been a part of Rollins, Ambrose, Reigns, Page, I'm sure Neville, Kevin Owens, has tweeted about being at the Performance Center and Dusty Rhodes helping him, and just being, you know, a face that you see when Kevin Owens had his surgery and was sitting on the table and he was live tweeting his day at the Performance Center. He said that Dusty Rhodes went up to him and is asking how he was. I believe the story that I read on TMZ said that Dusty Rhodes was 69, and Dusty Rhodes changed and helped so much in wrestling. He's one of the biggest stars. He'll never be looked at as one of the biggest legends. He's, you know, never won the WWF Championship, but you go back, you want to watch two matches that'll rock your world and show you how good this guy was. Starrcade, I can't remember the year, and Starrcade, I can't remember if it's the $1 Million Challenge or if it's the $100,000 Challenge. I believe it's the second and third Starrcades. One of the things that Vince Gemini said to me that stuck with me, you know, as we were talking, was that when Ric Flair got into wrestling, he wanted to be Dusty Rhodes. I mean, so many people look at Ric Flair and think that they probably broke into wrestling at the same time, but Dusty Rhodes was really going as one of the biggest names in professional wrestling at the time, and that's what Ric Flair modeled himself after, was trying to be Dusty Rhodes. And Ric Flair, who is looked at as one of the greatest of all times, if he wants to be Dusty Rhodes, shows it everybody else. So I'm sure this rocked a lot of people's worlds as it did mine. But Dusty Rhodes, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, the American Dream. He's leaving us Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, who I guess is now retired from wrestling, and Stardust, Cody Rhodes, hopefully one of the biggest future stars of wrestling. I gotta go among my day. I can't finish my videos talking about Money in the Bank. I'll have to finish them later, but he's going to be in my mind for the rest of my day. I got to go to the water park, but I'll check you guys out down the road. Peace out, everybody. Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here. We're back covering the WWE Money in the Bank 2015 pay-per-view that's coming up. Took a brief little break for the day after the Dusty Rhodes story broke, and it really put a damper on the day, but we're going to jump back into covering all of the matches and the whole pay-per-view itself for Money in the Bank coming up on Sunday on the WWE Network. We've already gone over the pre-show match, being King Wade Barrett going up against R-Truth, as well as the Divas Championship match, Paige going up against Nikki Bella. Next match on the sheet is going to be the Intercontinental Championship match, which is Ryback going up against Big Show. Honestly, I was really ecstatic that Ryback was able to win the Elimination Chamber and was able to become the Intercontinental Champion. Always has a spot in my heart for Ryback. Always really liked this guy, even as Skip Sheffield. As things really started to go downhill from him, I kept on, thinking all they have to do is change this guy into a babyface, and the crowd will be right there with him. I've always thought that was the key to him being what it was, to him moving on to that next level, or getting back to where he was just a few years ago. Ryback, I understand why they turned him heel and he went up against John Cena. But there was a lot of things along the way that just led to him being in a spot where he was stuck and he wasn't going to be getting anywhere. When I look at Big Show going up against Ryback, both of these guys don't really look like the typical guys that are normally going after the Intercontinental Championship. Guys of this frame, and especially of this size, are normally main eventers, or if they're not in the main event, they're in that upper mid-card, or maybe even that lower mid-card spot, just waiting for a chance, because they're always one of those guys that look like they can pick up the champion and break him in half. Big Show, you can tell, is at a point in his career where they have no idea what to be doing with him. I'm not even sure if this guy is involved with the Authority anymore, but he seems like he wants to be going after Ryback's championship. It made a lot of sense for Ryback to be going up against Miz, who seems to be the third wheel in this whole storyline, with a match that was going to be taking place on Monday Night Raw. It was all set to go, Ryback versus Miz. Miz was making his return to Monday Night Raw after taking his leave of absence to film his Christmas movie. Once he was there, Big Show made his way down to the ring. It looked like he was going to attack Ryback, but instead landed the big knockout blow right into the face of the Miz, laying him out and making it where he was the the top dog number one contender having the epic stare down with Ryback right there inside of the ring. Ryback versus Big Show. I don't really know what to look forward to in this match. It was widely talked about that, the one thing that people were looking forward to seeing in this match was, that epic feat of strength by Ryback by picking up, Big Show over his head and delivering the big finishing move, and they gave it away to us on Monday Night Raw. Big Show has been Intercontinental Champion before. I think a lot of people might have forgotten WrestleMania 28 when they tried to create Big Show's WrestleMania moment by beating Cody Rhodes. But I don't want to see Big Show be champion again, but I don't know why you have Ryback hit this big test of strength move against Big Show, only for him to do it again at the pay-per-view. They do that with SmackDown a lot, but I'm not quite sure. Big Show looked like he was going to be having a big year this year, kicking it off by winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania 31, then losing his match to Roman Reigns. I believe it was a last man standing match, and then he got to take a little bit of a sabbatical, take some time off. Hopefully he's back and he's healed up and he's not beat up from not being on the road at all. But I hope Ryback wins. I hope he keeps the championship, and I hope Ryback finds himself into a feud where he can memorably be defending that Intercontinental Championship and moving on in the future. But we're going to have to see where we go from this. My pick is Ryback. It doesn't make any sense for Big Show to get the win, but that's my hope. Ryback keeps the title, beats Big Show, and we can move on and never have to see this match ever again. New Day sucks. New Day sucks. WWE Money in the Bank 2015 is going to be having a tag team championship match, and it's going to be the WWE Tag Team Champions, A New Day, going up against the Primetime Players, Darren Young and Titus O'Neil. This match was basically set into place by the Primetime Players, Titus O'Neil and Darren Young being the last eliminated from the Elimination Chamber Tag Team Championship match just 2 weeks ago. But then also on SmackDown, they had a I guess you can, I don't know what the heck to call the match, a triple threat tag match on SmackDown with the Primetime Players coming out on top of the Lucha Dragons and the Ascension to become the number one contenders. Basically, with Tyson Kidd's injury, he is going to be sidelined for a good long time. I haven't even heard a timetable of how long how long Tyson Kidd is going to be out. Basically, in his match, there was an accident with Samoa Joe, and he broke, I guess they're bones inside of his neck, and they're the same bones that were broken on Christopher Reeve's Superman, that ended up putting him in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. So many times you think about these older guys. Right now it's in the spotlight because people are thinking about Stone Cold Steve Austin returning for WrestleMania 32 in Dallas to take on Brock Lesnar. One bad bump could end Stone Cold Steve Austin's livelihood. I mean, that is basically what they told Edge. He needed to stop wrestling. He needed to stop wrestling right now. There was no more one last match. He had already wrestled his last match because they weren't going to take a chance of Edge taking one bad bump inside of the ring and then having to live the rest of his life inside of a wheelchair. It's not worth it. Now, it was just a freak accident in that pre-show match with Samoa Joe. I don't think anybody's put blame on either guy, just saying that it was a freak accident. I'm honestly thinking that it's not being covered as much as I thought it would be. But in this match, the Primetime Players, they move up into becoming the number one contenders to the New Day, which is kind of funny because I remember thinking around WrestleMania time when these guys reunited that they would have been good to fill the spot of the Usos in the Tag Championship pre-show match, and they didn't even really get it. The same thing started going on with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, their newly found tag team, and they didn't make it into the chamber, and they're not even booked on the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So, what are they doing with this team? They're just trying to do a slow build to maybe they'll be the number one contenders at Payback. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense here, but I don't know really what to say about this. I mean, Titus O'Neil, a great wrestler. Darren Young, same thing. I don't think they can stand up to the power of the New Day. I think that it's going to be Kofi Kingston and Biggie Langston inside of the ring with Xavier Woods on the outside doing the clapping. We'll have to see what goes on from here, but my pick is the New Day with Biggie Langston getting the win and moving on from here. Not much to say about this match because it's sort of just one of those matches that's just thrown together. 2-week build. Where do you really get a build to? Next one, honestly, might be one of the reasons I'm looking forward to the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, but at the same time, I'm not looking forward to it as much as I was looking forward to the Elimination Chamber last month. John Cena versus Kevin Owens. It's being billed as the biggest rematch of all time in the history of WWE. And honestly, I don't really think that's the way I'm looking at it. For my examples, I'm going to use 2 matches from WrestleMania history, one of the biggest shows of all time, WrestleMania 3. First example is looked at as one of the best matches in the history of WWE. That would be Ricky Steamboat going up against the Macho Man. Probably one of the best matches a lot of people have seen. If not, it's in your top 5 to top 10. With this match that happened, this was the build-up of a long angle involving the Macho Man and Ricky Steamboat, where there was bad blood involved with Macho Man, cheating to get the wins over Ricky Steamboat. He took Ricky Steamboat out, injuring a bone in his neck by coming off the top turnbuckle with the ring bell, slamming it on Ricky Steamboat, who was set up sort of like a curb stomp would be, but with his throat over the barricade that went around the ring. In the old days, it wasn't that the black sort of barricade that you know of today. It was just sort of like a steel chair would be. And it had little beams on it. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, because even though they don't use it around the ring for WWE, you see them in other things of arenas, or you see them at whatever you go to, rodeos, state fairs. They all sort of use the same railings, just WWE made them look nicer for television. Now, Ricky Steamboat got the win over the Macho Man. As far as I know, there was never a rematch unless it was held on a house show. There was no televised show. There was no pay-per-view. There was no nothing. Just Steamboat went in one direction, and Macho Man started his babyface turn, teaming up, getting to where the Mega Powers would go to build up him winning the championship at WrestleMania 4, and then, losing the championship to Hogan in the main event of WrestleMania 5. Now, when the brackets came out for WrestleMania 4, the tournament for the championship, people looked at it as, the Macho Man and Ricky Steamboat, they both get a win in the first round. We're going to see this epic rematch. And that was a rematch people had circled on their board. Like, this is the match to watch because of how great last year's match was going to be. Both of these guys wanting to be the WWE champion is going to make this match even more special. Now, if you look at that, main event of WrestleMania 3, Hulk Hogan against Andre the Giant. Hulk Hogan picks up Andre the Giant, slams him in the middle of the ring. How easy would it have been for, WWE to come back with the cash cow main event of just saying, all right, Hogan beat him once, but can Hogan slam him again? They didn't do that. They just moved in a separate direction. They came all the way almost down to the next year, building up WrestleMania 4, and they did the main event on NBC, one of the biggest televised specials that WWE or wrestling has ever done in the United States. They put that on NBC on prime time. I believe it was on a Tuesday. It might have been on a Thursday. I can't remember. I just know it wasn't on Saturdays on late night. It was actually put up prime time, guaranteed viewage. I think it did a huge historic rating that nothing will ever touch in wrestling or in television again, just because of how many different channels there are. But, people wanted to see Hogan versus Andre, and Hogan versus Andre was on free television. Now, in that match, you saw the $1 Million Man buy off the Hebners with the plastic surgery of building another referee that looked like the referee that was inside of the ring. Hogan kicked out at 2, but the bad referee counted 3. Andre won the championship. He gave it to Ted DiBiase. Basically, the powers that would be that Jack Tunney, the commissioner of the WWF, didn't know what to do. He just declared that the title was vacant, and then WrestleMania 4, we would have a tournament to declare who the new champion was going to be. It set up a whole WrestleMania, and inside of that tournament, we were going to get to see the rematch of how big that match was going to be. Hogan versus Andre, guaranteed second round match with both guys getting buys because they were both claiming to be the former champion, making it, even though it was in the undercard, a big, huge match added to WrestleMania 4. They were able to hold off the rematches that long. Now, I was about to say last month, because that's how you used to do on pay-per-views. 2 weeks ago, we saw Kevin Owens make his debut in the WWE, having his first match in the WWE ring. He beat John Cena right there in the middle of the ring. We saw Owens beat down Cena. We saw Cena beat down Owens. Both guys getting disgruntled in the ring because they didn't know what they were going to have to do to put the other guy away. There were times when you easily thought the match was over. Owens was going to get the win, and we'd see Owens lay down trying to get the pin on Cena, and Cena be able to kick out at 2 3/4. And then Cena hitting the 5 moves of doom, bringing out the best of himself, thinking, oh, well, you know what? I thought it was going to be Owens getting the victory, and Owens was able to kick out what Cena had going down. This match went back and forth, and it was great. But 2 weeks later, you're going to give us this match and call it the biggest anticipated rematch in WWE history. I call shenanigans on this easily. Maybe even at the worst, if you put Kevin Owens back down in NXT for a bit, have him run through till he finally loses the championship and then bring him back up. Or if you don't want to hide him, just have him going around WWE bragging that he beat John Cena. Even if he's not facing main event talent, have him go out there against Adrian Neville, a past NXT champion. Have him go out there and beat up guys along the mid-card. And maybe then you finally bring Cena back, saying that he wants to avenge this win. And, he's been having this, underneath his skin for 3 months. You've seen Owens beating all these other competitors, but it's time he wants his rematch. He's finally ready to get in the ring with Owens again and face the monster. Then, this is an anticipated rematch, because you're actually wondering, how is John Cena going on? Not being able to beat this guy, and this guy's running around town telling everybody that he beat him. That's when this becomes an anticipated rematch. Not slap 2 weeks on it and then we'll have him go out there again. Now, the thing I like about this match is that the titles are on these champions, but the titles aren't on the line. This actually is a fight. Kevin Owens is a prize fighter. He just wants a better life for himself and his family, and that's why he gets into the ring and fights in WWE. And he doesn't even seem like he wants to be United States champion. He knows that the NXT championship means something. This is putting himself over. It's putting over the NXT brand. It's putting over Triple H. It's making Wednesday nights on the WWE network seem like must-see TV. What is this championship? I never really hear, WWE tout the number of people that watch NXT specials, that watch NXT week in and week out. My only guess is that it's not as high as we think it's going to be. It's not SmackDown level, it's not main event level, that it's only a small number of people who watch NXT, but having your NXT champion show up and beat John Cena, the guy of WWE, means something. And it wasn't a fluke victory. It wasn't a screw job finish. It was one guy beating another guy. And Cena said that he was coming out to show his respect to Kevin Owens, and he was actually going to hand over the United States champion. But instead, Owens was in the ring bickering about something, and Cena decided that he wasn't going to give the title. And it seemed like he was going to put the title on the line, but he ended up not doing it. So I'm not really sure. It's a matter of respect in this match to see who's better than the other. My bet says put your money on Cena. and Cena's going to get the victory over Owens, but we'll have to see. I hope that Owens is able to get the win, but my guess is that Money in the Bank is not going to be the last fight for Cena going up against Kevin Owens. Alright, here it is, the semi-main event that's already been laid out on Monday Night Raw, that the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match is going to be the Money in the Bank main event. So the actual Money in the Bank match itself, I guess going on second from last, is slam-packed full of former champions and former Money in the Bank winners. Kane, Randy Orton, Dolph Ziggler, all, big-time veterans of the Money in the Bank matches. They've been able to win the match, and not only that, cash in and become champion because of the Money in the Bank briefcase. Kane did it on the same night as winning the Money in the Bank briefcase itself, becoming one of the first guys to ever do it on the show itself. Dolph Ziggler held the Money in the Bank briefcase all the way until WrestleMania weekend of WrestleMania 29, cashing in on the Monday Night Raw against Alberto Del Rio. Randy Orton won Money in the Bank, cashed it in at SummerSlam on Randy Orton, joining the Authority and turning his back, becoming a heel, and being the big time, I guess you can say, thorn in the side of Daniel Bryan and the Yes Movement. Roman Reigns, one of the biggest stars, he's easily picked out as being one of the favorites to win this match, seeing how he's been sort of put in the big spotlight for Monday Night Raws. A few weeks ago he had to compete 3 times in order to qualify and keep a spot in this match. Sheamus, not a guy scared of the limelight. He's a 2-time WWE champion. I know he's at least won the World Heavyweight Championship once, and I want to say he might even have won it twice. He's never won it because of the Money in the Bank, though, but he's been in a few of these. Kofi Kingston, the biggest veteran of them all. I believe he's competed in 8 Money in the Bank matches themselves, never been able to call himself the winner, but always finds a way to be the favorite of the match, having one of the biggest spots of the night. Neville, the new rookie, he's going to be having a lot of people looking at him, being able to take a big ladder spot or create some kind of a spot to show the reason why he's inside this match. As we talked about during the pre-show match, both Wade Barrett, or King Barrett, and R-Truth easily can say that they have a reason to say that they should be in this match, seeing how they've been involved in the ladder match at WrestleMania and the Elimination Chamber match for the Intercontinental Championship. But this is for a little bit of a bigger prize, going after the belt that Ambrose and Rollins are going to be fighting about. It'd be easy to say that a lot of these guys have a reason to win this. Neville is a guy that I think people are going to be picking because he's a rookie. He could be carrying around this briefcase a lot like, Daniel Bryan did or CM Punk did, making him get, a little bit more of a star level behind him. He's a former NXT champion. He's almost beat John Cena. He's almost beat Seth Rollins. He's had some really good matches since coming into WWE, but he hasn't been able to win that big one, and he could sort of be that underdog with that title inside the briefcase as a reason to be rooting for this guy in the upcoming year. Sheamus, news has been breaking about him being involved in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sequel that's going to be coming out. He's going to be playing one of the bad guys. But when he came back the night after WrestleMania this year and gave the big brogue kick to Daniel Bryan, Daniel Bryan was injured, but it's never really panned out the way that I thought that it was going to. It seemed like he was moving on to something big, and he didn't even become the number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship after that. So I don't know if it's because his shooting schedule with the Turtle movie, he's only able to be on TV and pay-per-view, and maybe he's not doing house shows, and that's why they didn't throw him into a big project right away, but we'll have to see. Randy Orton is a big question mark for this. He wasn't even a part of the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view 2 weeks ago. Do they really want him in a spot where he's carrying the briefcase around? When he had it the last time, he was a babyface who eventually turned heel. But I don't know, sort of like right now, it seems like Randy Orton's going to be getting into a spot where it looks like he's a little bit lost on the babyface side, and that's when, Orton starts to get disgruntled, and we start hearing rumblings about Orton being pissed off and wants a big thing to do, but there really isn't anything for him. Roman Reigns, like I said, the guy that, has had that stamp on him for a while. I just don't think that when Roman Reigns wins the WWE Championship the first time, it's not going to be because of the Money in the Bank briefcase. It's because he's going to get a chance to go after the championship, more than likely in a one-on-one match. He's going to call somebody out, he's going to put up one hell of a fight, and he's going to beat that guy. He's not going to surprise anybody. He's not going to, be running down after somebody else beats somebody up. He's going to man up, and he's going to show that he is the star that people think he's going to be. That's why I don't think he has a shot to win this. Kane, I don't know what the hell this guy's doing in there. This match was fine with 6 guys. I don't really see what he's going to be adding into this match. Kane's a lot like Big Show. Anytime you see this guy involved in any kind of a match, you just sort of groan and just hope that it's going to be over soon. Ziggler, I'd love to see Ziggler have the Money in the Bank briefcase, but I'm easily can say that I don't think it's ever going to happen. The Intercontinental Championship is probably the highest this guy is going to be claiming the rest of his career. I want it to happen. I would love it to happen. I just don't believe in WWE to put the faith into this guy. But, there's so many people out there that root for this guy, whether if it's, Ric Flair or other legends along the way that, put in words of advice. But it seems like every time Ziggler gets a chance, he does something and he blows it. Whether if he runs his mouth in an interview or he tweets the wrong thing, or he just seems to always have this magnet on him for this thing that they call heat, and I'll never explain or be able to explain, what it is. They talked about it a lot on MLW radio this week about how people don't explain to new talent when they come into the locker room what heat is, why they lose their momentum, and nobody from WWE sits them down and says, this is what's happening, this is why this is. It's like they try to break people like they're wild stallions, and they want to break them into what they want them to be. But I don't know. Honestly, my pick to win the Money in the Bank this year is Kofi Kingston. And, people laughed at me, but honestly, in my mind, it's booked for the WWE in Japan show. Brock Lesnar's going to this show, and he's going to be part of the WWE special, has a match against Kofi Kingston. And this match, to me, makes no sense. You're going to be paying Brock Lesnar a big load of money to go to Japan to fight in this one match, and then do whatever he has to do and go home. And why Kofi Kingston? Is it because you don't want to put him against Seth Rollins in a championship match, seeing how it's going to be on the WWE Network, and it's basically a live special, aka a pay-per-view, and you don't want it to be remembered as Brock Lesnar's rematch for the championship? Why did Brock get on an airplane, fly all the way to Japan, get ready for this match, and not be able to come home with the championship? I understand you want that to happen more than likely at SummerSlam or a WrestleMania, a more memorable event than this sort of house show that's being spun into a live special. I understand that, There's not a real big buzz. Well, I guess there is a buzz about it, but I mean, there's not like anything you can fall back against saying like the last time WWE was in Japan, they blew the house off the place. I know the last time they were there, they sent Hulk Hogan there because tickets were not selling the way that they thought they were going to, and Brock Lesnar is being a huge worldwide star off of his UFC fame, was able to help sell those tickets and bring him there to have a match against Kofi. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense unless Kofi has something that Brock wants, and that's being a title shot. Brock Lesnar should already be owed a rematch, seeing how he was the champion. He lost at WrestleMania, but then again, The Rock lost to Cena at WrestleMania 29, and he never got his title shot. Randy Orton lost at WrestleMania 30, and it took him almost a year to get his championship shot in a rematch because Triple H wouldn't give it to him and wouldn't give it to him. Keep on putting him in other roles and seeing how we get from there. But I don't know, man. Kofi's my pick to win. Backup pick would have to be Dolph, I guess. I don't see Kane getting it. It doesn't make sense for Orton to have it. I don't really know the spot that Sheamus is in there. Like I said, Reigns isn't going to get it because I think that he's going to win the championship in another way. And I just think that Neville's too new. I just don't think it's going to happen. But we'll see. It's the match that everybody cares about. They treat this match basically like it's another form of the Royal Rumble. To me, honestly, the Money in the Bank briefcase adds a whole new level to excitement to the show. You can remember Rollins winning the Money in the Bank briefcase, and I believe the Monday night after Money in the Bank tried as a network exclusive to cash in on John Cena right away to show what that Money in the Bank briefcase meant. The cash in never happened, but you know that you had to go to the WWE Network and fire it up because this Raw was going off. He was running down to the ring with a briefcase in his hand, and the only way you were going to be able to see it was on the network, which was a great way to sell it as must-see. You know, Monday Night Raw is ending, flip over to the network and see what they're airing in that Monday night time slot. So many people are already watching Monday Night Raw. You know, you might have put them to sleep with a 3-hour edition of Monday Night Raw, but if they're still awake and they still want to watch more wrestling, why not give them to them with your 24-hour network? My pick is Kofi to win it. Backup pick is Dolph. I don't know who else can think about it. I know a lot of people are going to be picking Roman. I just don't really see anybody else pulling it down. Maybe Sheamus, but that's about it. 2 weeks ago, at the Elimination Chamber, the main event was Seth Rollins going up against Dean Ambrose for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. This was supposed to be the war to settle the score with the breakup of the Shield, the former Shield, alliance was blown up. And we were finally going to see who was better in the ring, with Ambrose getting a shot one-on-one against Seth Rollins. Ambrose took Seth Rollins to his limits. But at a point when it seemed that Rollins was going to start losing favor in the match, he shoved a referee out of the ring. And at that point is when Dean Ambrose was able to flip the switch, take it into another level, and was able to actually have another referee come running out of the back as Ambrose pinned Rollins right in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3, enabling him to become WWE World Heavyweight Champion for a matter of a few minutes before the other referee was able to, get his marbles back into his head, get his brain back screwed on, jump up into the ring, and make his announcement that due to disqualification, Dean Ambrose was going to be named the victor. But the belt can't change hands on a disqualification. So it seems that if Seth Rollins was able to find one way to outsmart his opponent, yet once again to keep his championship and to be moving on down the road, keeping his belt, and he will live to fight another day. Ambrose, basically being the guy that he is, took it upon himself to say, you know what, I feel like I beat you. I'm the champion, and didn't give the belt back. And for the past 2 weeks, we've seen a cat and mouse game with Ambrose, taking the championship and taking it on the road. He saw him, taking it all around Bourbon Street, all over New Orleans, where Monday Night Raw was held, in front of the Superdome, the home of WrestleMania 30. And this all got under Seth Rollins' skin, his championship running around town, the one thing that he loves the most. Why the authority? Why, Triple H couldn't just make another belt and give it to him in order to make the guy happy? I have no clue. But Seth Rollins has a story with the authority himself, where basically Rollins has almost fallen out of favor with the authority. It's almost like once these guys get into the authority, they became the main event and all the spotlight is on them, they start believing and getting in their head. They've seen so many times Triple H make alliances with people and turn his back on them just to move on to the next big thing. And Rollins was that next big thing. Basically, it was Triple H and Stephanie that basically threw Randy Orton into the crap pile in order to move on to the future, that being Seth Rollins with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and believed that Rollins was the key to moving on in the WWE, reaching a new level. Rollins is, taking advantage of this situation. He, took his Money in the Bank briefcase. He showed up at WrestleMania. He cashed in during the main event, being Brock Lesnar against Roman Reigns, making it a three-way, and walked out with the championship, and has been able to scratch and claw his way to keeping that belt and moving on in the WWE to become, a guy that really seems like he really does deserve the place that he's in. Now, Dean Ambrose does have a sketchy past. He's always had a weird sort of characteristics to go along with him, but it's almost like WWE has sort of turned him into the New Age repo man. He's got these kleptomaniac sort of tendencies. When Rollins was the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, he stole Rollins' Money in the Bank to expose what was in it, only to give it back with the exploding green dye inside, like he was a member of DX. Dean Ambrose has stolen the Intercontinental Championship leading up to WrestleMania 31 from Wade Barrett, thinking that he was the rightful guy. Then that led a whole series of events of everybody stealing the championship, claiming they were the Intercontinental Champion before WrestleMania happened. And then, we come to here, and he's stolen the grandest thing of them all. It's almost like, what's he going to steal next? Is he going to go out and steal Brock Lesnar's gloves in order to, start some Brock Lesnar feud up? Or is he going to steal, I don't know, the vest of Roman Reigns? I'm not sure what is next for him to take, but I said last month that it didn't seem, I said last month again, I said 2 weekends ago that, I really wasn't looking forward to the Elimination Chamber show. It just shaped up not to be what I thought it was going to be. It seemed like Ambrose going up against Rollins was just going to be a Monday Night Raw live main event, and instead, they went out there and they really delivered. These guys really know each other from their time in FCW. You can see from the Shield Blu-ray/DVD that came out a little while ago, they have a long series of matches, and inside the documentary that led up to the set, it's Rollins and Ambrose that really claimed that their rivalry during their NXT's time is what led NXT to move forward and get a television deal and become a bigger show and mean more to the WWE than what it was, that they were really out there delivering it. Of course, Rollins didn't love his time in developmental. He really felt like he was one of the best guys there, and he deserved to be on the WWE roster for a long time, fighting with Terry Taylor to the point where WWE thought they were, thinking that this guy's a great wrestler, but this guy is a head case and he's not really conforming to what we need him to do. I think a lot of what developmental is for these wrestlers isn't really to make these guys better wrestlers. A lot of guys come there with really big wrestling what's the word? I guess you can say resumes. And Rollins was the guy that wrestled all over the world, as well as, wrestling for ROH and things like that. He could have easily fit into the main roster. I think a lot of what developmental is trying to break guys down to once they get to WWE and they get on the main roster, they truly believe that they are a rookie and that, they need to claw their way up the ladder yet once again, so they don't go in there with a huge head thinking that they're the best. But I think what the best thing about the generation of wrestlers coming up into WWE right now, whether if it's the guys from the Shield or if it's this big, six group of guys that Triple H has down in NXT right now, that some guys have already moved on to the main roster, these guys really do believe that they are the best. And they're just looking for their shot in order to get it, and they're going to take the best of every opportunity that they get, whether if it's a match on SmackDown or if it's a match on Monday Night Raw, a house show in Des Moines, Iowa. They're going to go out there and they're going to deliver. So I believe that this is going to be a good main event. It's said on Monday Night Raw that this is the main event. WWE Championship, it should be in the last slot, and I really believe that Rollins is going to beat Ambrose. I don't know. There's a lot of things going on with Kane and J&J Security not wanting to be in the corner. Actually, J&J Security beat Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw this week in the main event, which was very, very surprising. But it happened. And, so many times when you think that the bad guy is losing his stable or his group, here comes the pay-per-view, and it just ends up being we fucked you, and the whole time you thought this team is breaking up, and it was just a backstage plan for Dean Ambrose to let his guard down. And what do you know? Triple H, Stephanie, Big Show, the whole gang surrounds the ring, holding Ambrose down as Rollins climbs up and grabs the belt and becomes the champion yet once again. But, here we go. 2 years in a row, you have a ladder match for the championship. Last year was because of Daniel Bryan and his injury. This year it comes down to Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose not knowing who the true champion is going to be because of a dusty finish. I remember the Dusty Rhodes death that happened today and all the dusty talk going around. We're talking about the dusty finish from last month that he made famous of basically the babyface getting the big victory and thinking that he actually pulled off the amazing feat only to having it taken away from you. So you're like, well, I did get to see him win, so I'm not going home totally unhappy, because in my heart I really believe that Ambrose beat Rollins. So I know that next month when the pay-per-view's on, I'm going to order the pay-per-view because we saw him beat him once and it was just a technicality. So we have to see him win again. So you end up paying for 2 shows when you should have just got the finish involved in the one. But take Rollins to get the win. I still believe that Rollins versus Brock is a foreseeable match for the SummerSlam coming up around the corner. Lots of rumors about basically Rollins not being a part of the Authority anymore and having a match against Triple H where they fight over who is the true champion, or who is Triple H going to say that he made Rollins and that he is the reason for all of his success in WWE, or is Triple H just going to say that Rollins is ungrateful and maybe we have a Shield reunion coming together, something like that. But it's going to be big. The Money in the Bank briefcase always adds a whole lot more of excitement to the WWE. So I'm really looking forward to the Money in the Bank show, mainly just for the 3 last matches: Cena versus Owens, Rollins versus Ambrose, in the Money in the Bank match itself. So we'll see what happens on Sunday. We'll be back talking about all the live reviews after the show. So we'll see you on the Stevie Breach channel. Everybody have a good night, and I'll see you guys down the road.